Hey everybody, Objectively Dan here. Allow me to read you some bad advice from Jesus. This is Matthew 6, verse 26, an excerpt from the Sermon on the Mount. Quote, "Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in some barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?" If you're a Christian, why do you have a savings account? Do you contribute to a 401k? Do you think insurance is just a bad idea? I think Jesus would have done a better thing to point out the squirrels who save for winter, because that's a little bit more practical in my eyes. But if you disagree, feel free to call into the show because the show is starting right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Truth Wanted. I am your host today, Objectively Dan, and yes, I am back. Thank you guys so much for the well wishes. I'll talk a little bit about why I couldn't make the 5-year anniversary show of Truth Wanted last week in just a second. But before I do, I have to tell you that this is Truth Wanted, the live call-in show that happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time, where we talk to people about what they believe and why. And if you'd like to call us, you can do that at 512-991-9242, or you can call through your computer at tiny.cc/calltw. And as always, Truth Wanted is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And of course, every single week, I always have a special guest. This week is no different. Speaking of 401ks and money stuff, it's Phil Ferguson coming back on the show. Phil Ferguson, welcome.
Hello. I do have a little bit of a beef with you because I wasn't invited to last week. I know you weren't there either, but you had some very special guests.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I kind of see it like I got fucked. So just, wanted to get that out there right away.
Oh, shit.
Hitch
Damn, I didn't think we were going to start the show with beef, Phil. Damn.
Yeah. I mean, it's all praise all the time for you. It's just like, Jesus, you can do no wrong. But I wanted to point this one mistake out. So I did miss Hitch and Courtney Love last time. So
yeah, Courtney Love and Christopher Hitchens were here last week. Strangely enough, Courtney Love isn't dead, but was resurrected somehow last week. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch last week's show. I think the folks did a great job while I was gone. But let's talk about why I wasn't there. I was in a major car accident, a hit and run here in Austin that left me with a major concussion. Could not work for a little bit and couldn't host the show that Friday. Really sucked. I'm doing a lot better, but if I say some really crazy or unnecessary things today, I'm still a little concussed. So that's probably why. But overall, I'm doing much better than I was. And I just want to thank you all because I got lots of messages from folks wishing me well. And I'm doing a lot better, but don't know who hit me. And my car is totaled. So having to deal with that. But hey, life goes on, right? I'm still alive. I'm thankful for that. And nobody else was seriously injured. So say levy.
The non-medical verbiage for that of a concussion, is that just swelled head? Is that what you're suffering from?
I guess so. I don't know. It means I hit my head real bad. I didn't do my noggin too good. I think is what happened. But
you drove bad.
I was a saint. I was an angel in this. This was a drunk / high person that definitely hit my car and fled the scene and left it totaled, which again isn't fun. And I'm really sad because, as you guys know, last week I love doing the Halloween specials, and last week was kind of like basically the 5-year anniversary of this thing that I have been doing for like 5 years, and I couldn't even be there for it. I was really bummed about it. But again, thank you everybody for the well wishes. Let's talk about you though, Phil. It's enough about me. I want to know, what's Phil Ferguson been up to? Now, I racked my brain, Phil, and I believe the last time you were on Truth Wanted, it was February of 2020, and we were both like, so how about this COVID thing, huh? Seems like it might be kind of a big deal. And then it was a big deal. So that's how long it's been since you and I have been on a show together.
Well, the thing that I've noticed is there were a lot of people who were anti-vax, and some of those people got sick and then died. You don't hear them complaining.
Yeah.
It's, It's funny because I don't know if you've seen the official tallies, county by county, best number estimates about which political party had more people die from COVID.
Yeah,
you can kind of guess how that went.
You can kind of make a prediction, which is weird because like there's definitely a stringent there was a stereotype and it still exists of like left people, but who are still like so anti-government in a way that they don't like vaccines and are into woo-woo stuff. Like that's definitely a thing. But then I mean, it's just been the rhetoric of people who are right-leaning for a long time to talk so much about the vaccine, like from official elected folks, that I think that's kind of shifted a little bit. I don't know.
There is plenty of liberal people that avoid things like polio vaccines and whooping cough, which measles, which occasionally leads to outbreaks here in the United States where those illnesses were not polio, thankfully, not in the United States anyway. But have you ever seen someone actually that has whooping cough, a small child?
Not in person. No, I really don't actually.
It's called whooping cough because they cough, and then they stop coughing for a second, and in the attempt to get air in their lungs, they go, and they suck in air. And what can happen to like a 2-year-old is over a period of 5 to 7 days, they slowly suffocate to death while the body keeps making them cough, and they experience lack of oxygen and suffocate to death while the body's still coughing.
Jesus. Oh my God.
That's something you don't want to have a child have. And it's simple. You just get a vaccination, and people are like, there's too many, or they cause autism. Which they don't.
Well, the big one with this one was, it was developed too fast, right? Yeah. This was like, and it's like one of the fastest developed vaccines like ever. Like that's true. But it also had like a lot of eyes on it, I guess. I don't know. There's a whole thing with that. I don't want to go too much into that, but if you guys disagree with us, I mean, hey, there's the number down below.
Yeah, but you can call in as complete idiots and talk to a couple of other idiots.
That's right. That's right. Because we're definitely qualified on a medical level to talk about this.
Yeah. One thing I also noticed on social media now, many of my friends are suddenly map experts.
Map experts. Oh yeah.
I don't want to give any more information because I don't really want to talk about it.
It is
like, wow, you found something on a map. Now where is Romania?
Yeah. There is definitely something to be said about recent conflicts suddenly giving people opinions about things that have been happening for a long time that they didn't have opinions about a few months ago. But hey, this is Truth Wanted, and we are doing a thing every week called We Want the Truth. This is our weekly segment where we ask you guys a question and we read our favorite answers out loud. So last week's question was create your own superstition. Not really a question. We kind of did a prompt for last week, and we got some pretty zany answers this week, Phil. So I want to go through them. We'll show them on screen and look at them. From number 3, we have Mark McGee, who says, create your own superstition. Wearing mismatched socks will help you walk faster. Which I like. I like this one because it's nonsensical, but then again, like, so is like every superstition, right? Like, what's the correlation? I don't know. I think it's a good one. Number 2 comes from Chuck Gatos. Did you have more to say on that?
No, I'm good. I'm waiting for the next question.
Okay, let's do the next one, which is Chuck Gatos. New superstition. It's bad luck if your psychologist arrives carrying a Ouija board and tarot cards, a tambourine, and a bag of chicken bones, or a Bible and a cross, which is, it is bad luck, I guess. Especially if they're the only one you can afford, or that's the one that your insurance gives you. Yeah, that's definitely bad luck. I agree with that. Number 1, though, comes from Zach W. Parker, who says, new superstition, spinning pasta on your fork counterclockwise makes that weird smell come back. Which is very zany answers from you guys this week. I don't know what happened while I was gone, but something happened. Something's in the water that you guys have been drinking to come up with these zany answers. But thank you guys for giving your answers. We, of course, will do another one this week. This week's prompt is going to be, what's really inside the Egyptian pyramids? and I'm very curious to see your guys' answer to this. But before we move on, Phil, do you have any idea what's really inside?
Well, I almost wish I wasn't on this week because I actually know the answer. It's it's Baal.
Baal.
Yeah, and you're probably thinking the Egyptian god, but you're mistaken. I'm talking about the Goa'uld system lord Baal, who rose to power after the overthrow from the Jaffa. You may know about that, and he cloned himself. So one of his clones is in there, and he's a clone. He's a symbiote clone, if you didn't know that. And of course, he has a symbiote from the waters of the planet P3X888. So that is the answer. It is one of the clones of the Goa'uld system lord Baal.
I know Goa'uld. He fought Batman, right?
Yeah.
The Dark Knight movie.
I think. No. This is a different guy with a little worm inside.
Oh, okay. A little worm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you just made a reference to something that I'm not familiar with the source material of, but I'm going to assume everyone else does.
Did that feel like a reference? I really just a fact. I mean,
was it like a? I don't. You could, if you just made all that upstream of consciousness. Your improv skills are like.
No.
That's pretty good.
It is from something very specific. Do you want to know the answer?
I'm guessing. Was like Battlestar Galactica or something like that? Was it some sci-fi?
Maybe I should just let you stew in your ignorance. I don't know. It's
the comment section is going to roast me either way at this point, Phil. I've already admitted ignorance.
It's Stargate SG-1.
Oh, Stargate. Okay, Stargate.
Yes,
I knew it was one of those star shows.
Yeah. And it was 10 years of killing false gods, which if the American public needed any show, it was that show. However, the last 2 years in particular, they got really close to killing Christian gods,
really
representatives. And
I didn't know this.
That's what led to them getting canceled. So,
is that actually? Are you saying that is for real? Is that a fact?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can interpret it that way. They had a sacred book that was the truth and the way and the light, and they had these people that would go out and spread the gospel to different planets. It was called Origin, and there were these elite ethereal creatures that physical manifestations as deities, and it really felt like it was borrowing heavily, not from Egyptian mythology or Greek mythology like the original years were, but from Christian mythology. And
interesting.
Apparently some people couldn't handle that. So
yeah, didn't that show, wasn't that on Fox?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. I was going to say, if it's Fox viewers, then yeah, I can definitely see why.
It's 10 years. It was followed up by Stargate Atlantis, which was almost as good. It was okay.
Yeah.
And then sadly, they went for the third series, which was Stargate Universe, which should have never been made. But that's my opinion.
And now it's gone forever, right? It hasn't been any Stargate stuff in a long time.
No, actually, there was a movie afterwards, which actually one of the many clones of Baal was a star character in that movie.
Okay, well, I'd be happy to jump down the Stargate rabbit hole with you. Unfortunately, I don't know if all of my viewers are willing to go on that same journey. So I do want to change the subject here and get back to you, Phil. Can you give a brief intro to who you are for folks who have maybe they haven't seen you on the pod before or haven't heard your name? Who is Phil Ferguson?
Sure. For one, I am an evangelical atheist. I am a registered investment advisor for my company, which is Polaris Financial Planning, which is a registered investment advisor. I'm an investment advisor representative for the company, which I own, which is me. It's kind of like a Trinity thing. I am the company. I am me. Been doing
legally
that
and metaphysically.
Yes. About 27 years. My podcast is The Phil Ferguson Show, and I often talk about politics, religion, and money. And sometimes I'm talking about money scams and money ripoffs. And I was worried that when I started my show, I would run out of money ripoffs to talk about. I was wrong. I'm now, I think I've recorded 472 show number or 473. I'd have to check. And there's still new scams and cons that I'm learning about all the time.
I was gonna say, are we not in the golden age of scams, Phil? I mean, is that not
I think
true?
the problem with the internet is you can find any information. The problem with the internet is you can find any information, and there's someone there to sell you something. So, the biggest one in the last decade is probably crypto, which we can talk about if you want.
It is.
But there's an endless stream of them where people will share stories with me. Another really big one was what I call private placement REITs. You'll see the commercials. You'll hear them on radio. You can find their websites where they talk about, no, you can invest in real estate like wealthy people. Send us your money. You'll make 10% per year. You'll never believe this, but you don't. Just somehow doesn't seem to work out when you put your money in. The thing that kind of started me down this whole thing, when I was growing up, I was in high school. I knew as an empirical fact that my dad was a stock picking genius. And I came back from the first year of college and he says, I want to show you where everything is. So if something happens to me, you can take care of your mom and your brothers. I'm like, oh, finally, I'm going to learn the magic, how he makes money. And I started looking at stocks that he bought stocks in a 3-wheel car company in the mid-70s.
What?
And lost 99.8% of its value.
Wow.
They also made kidney dialysis machines, but that's a different story. And so I'm like, wow, I never heard about this stock that you lost 99.8% of the money. You've never told that one at dinner. And he's like, whoa, who tells those stories? It's like the fishing stories. You get the big fish. We all bias and select the stories that make us look good or sound good, and we eliminate occasionally some stories that make us look like idiots, unless we're professional clowns like the two of us.
Right.
But I was fascinated by this, and he had one investment that was doing better than almost everything else, and it was this thing that was invented in the 70s, and it was the Vanguard S&P 500 index fund. I was like, how does that work? And even broader, how does investing work? How does one make money? How does one make a reasonable amount of money with a reasonable amount of risk? So I'm not committing to people that are going to make huge returns. I think of myself as the tortoise in the tortoise and hare parable. Slow and steady. If you have enough time and you save enough money, you flat out will be rich. Whatever your definition is, you'll get there if you save a lot and if you have many years to go. If someone comes to me and they're 60 and say, I've already helped my 6 kids through college, I'm ready to start saving for retirement. At 60? Well, that's going to be rough, dude.
I just started a 401k like last year. So
nice.
And I'm 27. I feel like that's late to the game. Is that not late to the game?
It's actually not. Because a lot of people in their 20s, they got a lot going on. They got college bills to pay for. They're paying overpriced apartments. They might have partners, relationships, dating's expensive. And then if you made the mistake of having children, I love my kids, by the way. If you made the mistake of having children, they're very expensive. So a lot of things hit you at the same time. It's very hard to save money. And hopefully your income goes up over the years, but I don't know if that still works anymore. So we could talk about that.
It has so far. Here's me knocking on wood, speaking of superstitions, but that is really interesting. I like your perspective on things, Phil, because there's a lot of people in this space that talk about kind of things that I'm pretty familiar with. The Bible, we talk about superstitions, weird cryptids, conspiracy theories. I mean, the whole 9 yards. I go through that all the time. Phil, you're the only person I talk to who I can be at least reasonably confident that when it comes to money stuff, you're going to be more right than like the average person on. So like, that's why when I hear you say a take like crypto is a scam, I want to know, why is crypto in particular a scam? Because more than any, like, if I could pick one thing that all of my friends talk about when it comes to financial stuff, and I say friends, I mean like coworkers, I mean like people in my spaces, you know, that actually do put money into something. If they're talking about it with me, it's usually crypto. I know a lot of people who really like it, but you think it's an outright scam. I'm very curious as to your reasoning behind that.
Well, I have 2 episodes that the one was recorded with the help of Seth Andrews, whose platform is The Thinking Atheist. He's not The Thinking Atheist. That's just the show he runs.
Right.
And I think it was close to 7 years ago. That's how long. And of course, I've seen ups and downs. And someone once accused me when it was going down. They said, "Oh, you're such a smart guy mocking Bitcoin when it's going down." And I was like, "You haven't paid attention to my wall. It's still a scam going up. It's just a higher priced scam." They're virtually everything. And boy, you're going to get hate mail from this.
Listen, this is the opinions of Phil Ferguson. I'm listening to you. Okay. This is truth wanted. Okay. I want to know if crypto's a scam. We have to lay it out here. So please give it to me.
You'll hear things like crypto is easy. Well, anyone who's been awake for the last decade knows it's not easy. They'll say crypto is secure. It's not secure. People get robbed all the time. And then they'll say crypto is secret. Well, thankfully, it's not really secret, and any large government that really wants to find you through crypto transactions, they fucking find you. So it would actually be better for you to handle cash. Matter of fact, the U.S. government, in operation with about 20 other countries around the world, were able to bust up a large, I would not call it child prostitution, I call it child rape. People who were sharing rape videos of children, they were able to bust that because they were able to track all the transactions through Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Oh, interesting.
They say it's a currency. They say it's an investment. Well, which is it? And they go, it's both. So if you own Bitcoin and you think it's going to go up 5, 10, 20 times, are you ever going to spend it? No, because it's not a currency. It's an investment.
Yeah, or like a stock at that point, basically.
Yeah. If you sell goods and people say, we want you to take cryptocurrency. Well, why would I want to do that? Because it might go up, it might go down, and the volatility is so high. The amount of money I make or lose is now based only on the whims of the cryptocurrency that I'm accepting, not the profit margin of the product that I'm selling. So that it doesn't make sense for someone to take cryptocurrency as a payment. Now, if you want to just individually, you as one person, send a couple $1,000s to another country for some reason, okay, it works as that. But you can also use dollar currencies. They had one that was called Binance USD, Binance $1 token.
Yes.
And I think at its peak, it was worth $25 billion. And it was backed, allegedly, 1-to-1 with US dollars. And so my question is that why couldn't you just use the US dollars? And of course, someone smart has a reason. But it turns out that the Binance US dollar was not backed by US dollars. It was backed by margins and puts and calls and all kinds of fancy trading that have expenses. And of course, from my perspective as being an investor, when someone offers up Binance tokens, how do they make money? And a crypto person might say, well, they don't make money. It's a new economy. What the fuck is that? Who's ever made money in a business in the long run that doesn't produce something of value?
Sure.
And cryptocurrency does not produce a value. People will say it's all about the ledger. And I'll say, okay, it's all about the ledger. So can I have a ledger without having Bitcoin tied to it? Yes, I can. So then how does the ledger help Bitcoin? And they don't have an answer. It just, the whole thing. And of course, they talk about it's a greater distribution of wealth around the planet. Cryptocurrency is more concentrated than US dollars are. So it didn't help that. It's stable. It's not. So it didn't help that. Everything that you could think of that you want to fix with what people call a fiat currency.
Right.
It doesn't fix any of them. So why are people buying it? And why are some of the smartest people buying it? And it's a kind of a combination of the emperor's new clothes, tulip bulb mania, beanie baby mania, all thrown in with the fantasy of printing your own money in the new modern age. It's a con, it's a mass delusion, and the vast majority of people are going to lose a lot of money. Of course, there will be people that make money. A lot of the thought leaders in cryptocurrency are people who have been previously banned from working in the stock market and brokers and dealers because they were ripping people off. They go into the crypto environment and they can use all the tricks that they've learned, and there's no sheriff in town. So they just make shit up. They talk about we want regulation, but they don't.
Well, a lot of them don't. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even think that's true. Every person I know that's really into it doesn't like the regulation parts.
Yeah, there are people that say that, and it gives them a veil of credibility because they're like, no, this is good. We want it to be regulated. What are they doing to make it regulated? Nothing. They're fighting it. They don't want it to be regulated. And if it's going to be regulated, it's going to be down the road. So they want to make money as fast as possible. So don't do it, kids.
The funny thing,
don't do it.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you've made a lot of great points in your point here, and I think I agree, right? Like that crypto ultimately, a scam is a thing where one person makes a bunch of money and everybody else doesn't, right? So it's like, yeah, that is kind of crypto. It is going to be like a small amount of people. What I see about crypto that fascinates me is the culture that surrounds cryptocurrency, and I know you know what I'm talking about here. It's I do. The Discord servers of people who are like, man, you know what? I don't know much about crypto, but I'm going to trust the plan here. I'm going to follow, this dude that I found on YouTube's advice, and we're just going to hold on. We're just going to, see the ride through. Right. And it's like, how is this not different from like saying, oh, I know that Jesus isn't back here yet, but we're going to hold on through all the tough times. Like any other, you put another religious, metaphor here. Right. But it's like, it is kind of a, go ahead.
It's fascinating because I know a lot of atheists, and I know a lot of really smart atheists, and some of them are big, what I call crypto aficionados. And I mean that in the most demeaning way possible. They're incredibly intelligent. They work their way out of Christmas. I'm sorry, Santa. They worked their way out. They figured out Santa when they were a kid. They figured out Jesus a few years later, or maybe 20 years later. They've seen through all these scams and cons. But then when it comes to crypto, and they say, Phil, you just need to understand how it works. Well, explain it to me.
Yeah.
First, you have to accept that it's true and it's real. It's a religion. So, who knows? Again, that is Phil at truthwanted.com.
Yeah, Phil at truthwanted.com. No, that's why because like I have the opinion, right, that crypto is ultimately a scam. I mean, a scam in the sense that, you won't make money doing it statistically, right? So yeah, I think it is a scam. So like, I can say that, but I don't have a fucking pedigree in that to be able to a qualified opinion to say it. That's the difference. I mean, like, you know what my qualified opinion is? Watching documentaries on YouTube about it. That's my qualifications. I'm not in the investing space. I don't know, I don't know enough about it to say one way or the other. So I have to trust people like you, Phil, to give me the good word. So what I'm saying is you're my new religion, Phil. I will follow, of course, Ferguson. I will become a Fergusonite.
If you want a chance at learning about anything that's sold to people, find someone who's not making money from selling it.
Yeah. Ooh.
And that applies to me too, because I will tell people that I provide advice to my clients and they pay me. Be very skeptical of that and question that. Is this person doing something that makes them money? And yes, that applies to me. You should apply that skepticism to everything, to everyone.
Yeah, 100%. Phil, I appreciate your take on that and your willingness to let me receive the hate comments so that you can kind of
right. Yeah, not a problem.
No, it's awesome. I love talking with you, Phil. I hope we can continue having more interesting conversations about scam stuff, because there's a lot of interesting history with just scams in general. I mean, I almost wanted to have a conversation. Another thing I had in the back of my mind, we don't have time now. I want to get to calls, but I wanted to talk to you about reverse mortgage stuff.
Okay.
Because I had a story about that, but maybe we'll get to that in a second.
I can give you that in like 30 seconds.
Tell me what's your take on reverse mortgages? So I hope it's what I think it is.
Well, if you want a reverse mortgage for yourself, and you have no one that you care about, and you want to leave only debt behind, it might be right for you.
Phil, has anyone ever told you you tell it as it is? Has anyone ever told you you're not shy?
I try, and I tell you what, in the past when I worked for the man, more than once that got me in trouble.
I believe it. Well, let's see if it gets you in trouble today as we talk to some callers. So before we do get to our next callers, we have to shout out our patron of the week. Every single week, we always give a shout out to one of our donators on Patreon. If you'd like to donate, you can totally do that. Just follow the link in the description for Patreon. It's a tiny.cc/PatreonTW. I, of course, want to thank everybody that donates on the Patreon, but this week's patron of the week is Zach Gunkel. Thank you so much, Zach Gunkel. You are the patron of the week. And thank you, of course, again, to everybody that donates. You guys rock. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get back to the show. This is a good one, I think, to start with. Phil, we're going to talk to Coop, who's calling in from actually, I don't see you place. Oh, New York. There we go. Coop calling in from New York. Coop with they, them pronouns. Coop, how you doing?
Doing okay. How are you and Phil doing tonight, guys?
We're doing well. We're doing well. Coop, what do you want to talk to us about today?
I would like to talk to you about some interesting perspectives on my deconstruction from religion to faith and spirituality, and maybe with some thought sauce sprinkled in and throughout.
Okay. Let's hear it. Can you make it brief? Can you make it in like a minute or two for us?
And then we can hash through things, or like that's going to be it.
Oh, yeah, just to talk about it, just so we can have a conversation.
My quick thing, So the quick spiel at first, the minute will be, I've been deconstructing and I've been thinking a lot. I don't know how much you remember from the couple conversations that we've had so far.
Yes, your voice is very familiar to me.
Yeah, and I called in as Cooper. So, anyway, so, you said, hey, Cooper, if you need to pray, go ahead and pray.
Yes.
And I had thought a lot about that. And I was thinking, why did Dan say that to me if Dan is an anti-theist who doesn't believe in God? And I was thinking, was he thinking, well, once he finds out how many prayers go unanswered, that'll be his answer. And then, I was thinking, and then today I'm thinking, maybe I can pray, but just not to any specific god or gods or deities. And just it's the thought that counts. It's the sentiment, not any spiritual nature or supernatural force behind it. I can still
That's exactly right.
pray. I can still wish.
I like it.
I can still hope.
Yes. You 100% can. Coop, just sorry to interrupt you. I just want to point out, anti-theist. I don't know if that's a label I super agree. I mean, maybe kind of. I definitely have some anti-theist sentiments. I don't know if that fully describes my worldview, but I think I sympathize with.
I will grab that moniker from you.
Phil's like, yes, hardcore. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Coop, can I ask you a question as someone new to your story?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
If you were praying, and maybe it doesn't even apply anymore, but when you used to pray to a deity, I'm assuming there was a specific one that you prayed to. Did you think that deity could do anything and knew what was best for everybody?
At first I did. Yeah.
Okay.
At first.
And that's not now.
No.
Okay.
Now I'd say I'm not certain, and I don't know why he doesn't, and maybe he can't.
So then I guess not so much for the Cooper or the Coop that we have today, because I like what you're doing here. So I want to be really nice and make sure that you understand. For a moment, I'm going to take a side and talk about somebody else. But for people that think there's a deity that has a plan and knows everything, when you as an individual pray and ask for something, who do you think you are? I mean, boy, that's the arrogance to think that there's an all-powerful deity that can make the entire universe, and he has a plan, and you're going to ask him to change it for your benefit. And like I said, Coop, that's not you. So I just wanted to share that while I was thinking about it. But my apologies for bringing it up when you're here, because I like what you're doing. I like what you're thinking.
Bill, you know something though? I'm
What's
not Like, I'm not one of those, like, when I came up, like, I had the whole born again, saved experience in a church. And, like, they really, when they started out, they seemed really sincere, but then they got in the whole blab it, grab it.
Yeah, it can be rough. I know, I don't know if we lost Coop. You still with us?
Yeah, Coop, you still there? Sound like you might have dropped out.
It sounds real quiet, so that's okay. If we get him back, that'd be great. But years ago, Dan, I don't know if you knew this. I was on the board for a church school.
No, I did not know about this.
Really? And I was a closeted atheist. And I tell you what, if you believe in God, if you believe in your church, what you can do to get over that is join the church board. You're on the church board of directors, and the lies that you will hear, the deceit that you will experience, it is, kind of like the list of all the sins people aren't supposed to do. People that are running a church are the worst, absolute worst. The lies, the deceit, the backstabbing, all of it's there. And of course, by the way, if you really want to steal money or launder money, the church is the place to do it, because no one counts that. Your plates are going by and you pick up a wad of bills and shove them in your pocket, or you're one of the collectors, put money. There's so many cases where people do this in churches, and ministers do this, priests do this. And you think to yourself, well, if they're no better than the average human, what value does Christianity bring? Because they say it teaches morals. No, it doesn't. I once saw a debate with Stephen Fry and Christopher Hitchens called Intelligence Squared, where they were talking about the rape of children to a couple of people who are Catholic. And one of the Catholic people said, well, we didn't know that doing that was bad for kids back then.
Oh, gross.
Really? You didn't know that was a bad thing? Well, then what are you for? What's the purpose of this organization other than sheltering pedophiles?
Morality was objective. I thought you knew. Doesn't it not tell you things that are right or wrong? And if it doesn't, why did that change suddenly?
And I'll go one step further, Dan, and this is not Dan's opinions. It's mine. With what we know publicly about the Catholic Church and other organizations like that, and how they cover up and hide the rape of innocent children, if you are still giving money to one of those organizations, you are complicit. You're part of the problem. You're funneling money into an organization that does that. Stop it.
No, I'll co-sign on that, Phil. I don't know if an anti-theist fits me. Anti-church, though, 100%. Okay. All right. That's fine.
Fair enough.
The reason why I quibble with the anti-theist thing is just because I just don't like putting people down too much. I want people to, I don't know. It's a people thing. I try to be someone who wants to be as approachable to others as possible. And if making myself anti-theist means I'm going to put people in a hierarchy, I'd like to try to avoid that as much as possible.
And I think you can be an anti-theist. My dream is that I'm an anti-theist and I try to very carefully to separate the beliefs versus the person. Yes. Always respect the person. Always 100%. Love the person. And sometimes I'll explain it to a Christian when they'll say, hate the sin, not the sinner.
Right.
Which complete shit, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely garbage.
But they'll understand when I make the analogy to them that I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about what they believe.
Absolutely.
In Florida, we get a lot of door-to-door solar panel salespeople. It's weekly. I had a guy come by. My new trick is I open the door and I step outside real quick, and then I slam the door shut behind me. And so, because people stand now back 5 or 6 feet from the door because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So now I walk out into their space, and how can I help you? And the guy says, I'm here with so-and-so solar panel company. Yeah. And I said, did you not see my roof? It's right behind me here on the house. There's already solar panels up there, dude. And he goes, well, you could add more. And we're talking for a minute or two about solar panels. And he goes, I'm a Mormon.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, oh, dude, don't do that. And he goes, what do you mean don't do that? And I said, no one could possibly take you serious when you claim that you're a Mormon, because that religion is so trivially, easily falsifiable that no one would take you serious and buy solar panels from you. And he said, can you say that again? I said, I can't. Mormonism is so easily and trivially falsifiable that no one would buy solar panels from you. And he looks at me and he goes, don't you think that's offensive? And I said, from your perspective, I could see how it is, but I'm doing this to help you. And he goes, how is that helping me? I said, imagine we're on the top of a 10-story building and you're walking to the edge of the building and you're about to walk off because you believe it's okay to do so. And at the last minute, I stop you. I'm protecting you. I care about you. I'm telling you that what you believe is false and it's going to harm you. I'm doing the same thing here, and I have to be very clear and very direct that what you believe is false and it's going to hurt you, not because I'm trying to be a dick, although I have my moments, but because I'm trying to speak in a way that opens your eyes, opens your mind to a different way of discussion to make sure that you understand that what you believe in has the potential of harming you, and you need to find a different way to live your life.
I think we got Coop with us back here. Coop,
yay!
Are you on the line?
Hey, yeah,
hey, Coop.
I am here.
Awesome.
Am I audible to all?
You are audible to us. Coop, you got any thoughts on that? Phil had some thoughts.
I didn't have any thoughts on that. I had some more. I mean, I did have some thoughts on that, but I kind of wanted to get back to the main point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Addressing me about earlier.
Talk about it.
Bill, I just spent as far as like what most, I wasn't usually praying for what most people in the church I found were praying for. Like when usually I found people mostly praying for their own needs, I was mostly just praying for world peace, people to laugh more, people to have more joy and hope in their lives, that sort of thing.
I love your intention. I love it. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, Coop, and I'll say this, right? You thought it was interesting because I, as a non-believer, is straight up telling you, yeah, if you feel like you got to pray, you got to pray. And the reason why I tell you that is exactly for what you thought. It's because you're a human being first, more than anything. And religious beliefs are not just these philosophical yes, no, black and white binary propositions that we accept as either true or false. That's just not how human beings are. That's how it works on paper, but the reality is messy, right? Some of it is habit. Some of it is just like habits of thought, for example, right? Like when I was deconstructing my own religious faith, I remember still having nightmares about like going to hell and thinking that was a sign that God was telling me I need to turn back on my path. I thought that way because I was conditioned to believe that, right? And when I'm praying, God, can you just show me a sign that you're real? I was conditioned to like ask God for things, right? Like that was my upbringing more than anything. That was, and even though I had intellectually sort of like distanced myself from that, there was still a very visceral part of me that maybe even wanted it to be real because of that comfort it gave me and because of that ability for me to be what I thought was a normal person, which in America, it is being Christian, right? Most people in America are some version of Christian. And to leave that is a very scary thing for a lot of us, especially if you don't have any sense of community, which is what I didn't have for a little while. So if you're deconstructing and you're like, I just feel like you need to pray, you're not hurting anybody by doing that. I really don't think so. And if that's part of your process, I don't think you should feel ashamed for thinking that. Right. So I'm glad that was helpful for you because I do honestly believe that.
Right. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. Coop, can you hear us?
Yep.
Any thoughts?
Yep. I can hear you. The phone cut out just for a moment, momentarily.
Gotcha.
No, but some interesting perspectives on what you just said, Dan. I've been praying and just praying that people would just laugh a little more and have a little more joy in their lives and wishing and hoping. I don't think there's anything really truly wrong with that because it's all about the intent of the heart.
No, I don't think so. It's only wrong. It's only wrong, Cooper, if you're replacing that with action, right? If you're saying, I'm not going to listen, I know that this bad thing just happened to you and I know you need money. I'm going to pray for you instead, right? Like, that's a no-go, right? Give that person money if you feel obliged, right? That's going to help them in the long run than just the thoughts. But again, I don't think those intentions are bad within themselves. I really don't. But maybe Phil feels differently. Phil, do you feel the same way?
No,
or are you just like,
good.
fuck
I'm good
it,
with
just
it, man.
burn it down?
If it makes you feel good, if it relieves stress, if it makes you feel hopeful and optimistic, fantastic. But I do like Dan's point that if someone's in need, I see a distinct line between helping and praying. But that's just me.
Yeah,
but you don't think? I mean, yeah, definitely. If someone's in need, we should help them. But like at the same time, I mean, but even if we're just praying, or like, you don't see that as a betrayal of our agnostic atheist sensibilities and ways?
Betrayal to who, Coop? Who am I betraying? The God I don't believe in?
Our own. Like, it's kind of, no, we're not betraying the God. It's kind of like Polonius to his son Laertes, and above all else, to thine own self be true.
I see it more as
I don't believe that prayer works.
Yeah, as a form of meditation. It just depends on when you say you believe it works. You believe it works for who? Because what you just said, for example, if someone had, let's say, a car accident and hit their head really hard, and you happen to be a bystander, and you said, wow, I could call paramedics right now, but I believe in the power of prayer, and I'm going to pray that that person that hit their head in their car gets well. Now it's a problem. Now we're going to have words.
Yeah.
And so the question is, do you believe that would work? Now, if you just kind of want to go down a list, kind of like what sometimes I call a vision board. Here's the things that I want. Here's how I want to help people. And you recite those to yourself or out loud or in quiet to the universe. And that helps you focus and do more of the things that you want to do. Dude, I'm all for it.
Yeah. This is interesting because you got to think about this, Coop. Prayer, even in Christianity, has an interesting and diverse history, right? Prayer is not meant the same thing at all times. In the New Testament, there's this kind of narrative, especially with the John, where Jesus is like, ask and you shall receive, right? It's literally an asking of God. But that hasn't always been true for what people considered prayer. The Eastern Fathers, for example, the Desert Fathers, sort of thought prayer as this kind of meditative practice. They instructed monks to be like, okay, you need to like look at this verse and just reflect on this one verse for like the next hour in your mind. And this contemplative practice was a kind of prayer, right? And that kind of practice, I think, again, is fine if that gets something out of it for you, even if it is the Bible. I'm not saying that everything in the Bible is bad. Most of it is, but like there's one or two good things. I mean, if that helps you, I want you to be helped. I don't care whether you think there's some supernatural or metaphysical elements to it. Obviously, I don't believe that's true, but I don't think you're attributing supernatural or metaphysical elements to it. I think you're just saying this is a thing that helps me, right? And so as long as you're honest about that, I don't think you're betraying yourself in any way. I think you're realizing you're a human being with a kind of psychology that's going to, help yourself the best by doing that kind of practice. Does that make sense?
Mm. Oh, yeah, most certainly makes sense. Yeah, definitely a lot. Seems very logical and reasonable. But here's one thing in my deconstruction that I've been dealing with lately, and I was talking about this within the context of an RFR support group the other night. And I said, listen, what if my indoctrination and beliefs were so systemic that maybe I just can't get faith and believe out of my mind, and forever I'm just going to be dealing with this level of cognitive dissonance where I see that atheism and agnosticism and anti-theism are the most reasonable and logical answers, and that this world was merely just a happenstance and a fluke of natural physics, or whatever you want to call it, just a natural fluke, and we should just be all glad and thankful that we're all here, and we only get one life to live, and that's it,
Sure. I think just live your best life, learn, grow, change. And if there's things that you struggle with, you are not alone. I'm delighted that you're with RFR. You can also find out if they can maybe provide you a reference to, Dan, the name escapes me. There's a group of people that help people walk through things and talk through things.
I believe he mentioned it. Which
Secular
is
Therapy Project.
Yeah, there's Secular Therapy Project. Yeah.
See, now you can be on the show, man. You know all this stuff already.
That's right.
You know, you talk through things, and so many people on this planet struggle with things all the time. And quite honestly, if your biggest struggle is a little bit of cognitive dissonance in that you want to pray, but yet you don't think it really does anything, and there's not a deity out there, dude, you're doing good. You're doing really good. There's a lot of people with worse problems. Embrace that. Just try to live your best life. Try to help people. Try to improve. Try to learn more. And I'd like to meet you. I think you're doing it right, dude. You're questioning. You're just learning.
Yeah,
that's all. There's no hurry.
Jeez, Bill. I appreciate that. Gee, I've catched a lot of your stuff, and I've always appreciated it. By the way, I like your stuff. I appreciate it.
You're very kind. Usually, I'm the one being asshole, so I'm delighted.
Yeah.
One last thing, Coop, and then we got to let you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Maybe you could comment on it. I'll rewatch the show. But what would you say if I told you I was about how it's not reasonable, faith is not reasonable or logical, yet I'm a willing and reluctant faith-going person?
I think that just means you're a human being.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you have to.
No,
you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself.
I
feel like, Coop, that's not a freak.
No.
That is the most human thing you could possibly do. Are you kidding me? Look, okay, so I think you would be, and first of all, I'm not a professional. This isn't advice. I think you'd be a great candidate for cognitive behavioral therapy, because the thoughts that I'm hearing you express to me, that sounds like anxiety, right? That sounds like an attitude of wanting to do things the right way, and you're unsure of the best way to approach it, and it's causing this paralysis for you. I think maybe some existential therapy and some cognitive behavioral therapy might be good to help with some of those thoughts, because I don't think this is a question of philosophy. I think this is a question of psychology here. Are you in a good enough place to even be thinking about some of this stuff, right? I have no doubts in my mind, Coop, that you are a good person and that you're doing the best that you can with your life, just based on the few conversations I've had with you. I don't know that for sure. You could be a serial killer for all I know, but I don't think that's likely. I think you are
I'm not a
person
serial killer, and if I was, I'd be Dexter.
I think you think seriously and thoughtfully about your beliefs, and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. And I think that's a noble characteristic to have. I just think you need to quell those anxieties you're having so that you can live a happy and productive life, because you're going to have the rest of your life to think about a lot of these questions, and you don't have to have the answers right away, because these are all questions that we all have to deal with and all have to answer ourselves in our own time. Does that make sense, Coop?
That definitely makes sense. And this Christmas,
I hope so.
I'll be bringing some Christmas sauce.
All right. Sounds good.
Coop.
I unironically mean this. Give me your thoughts and prayers, Coop. Give me your thoughts and prayers today, okay? But I do got to let you go, because we got other callers that want to talk to us.
Hey, world. Hey, everyone. World, just laugh a little more. Kick your feet up. Laugh a little more.
There you go.
Take a break. Take a break. Take a hot bath. Take a hot shower.
Thank you. Coop, you're now Truth Wanted's official chaplain. Thank you for giving the Truth Wanted prayer. I appreciate that. I will let you go. Thanks again, Coop. Hope you have a good one.
I tell you what, if everyone thought like he did, or it's not necessarily what he's thinking, but how he's thinking.
Yes.
I'd have to find a new hobby instead of bashing religion, because I think we'd all be in a better place, because I am genuinely concerned that religion is a net negative to our probability of survival as a species. That we have so many problems that we can fix, but we fight and argue over things that we shouldn't fight and argue over, that are so straightforward and obvious. And I think religion just pretends to help us out, and it doesn't. So
sure. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. I think that some of those great quandaries that Coop is having have been explored in both religious and secular modes of thinking. And I think that there's lots of great literature you can find, particularly in this. And it sounds like you want to go the secular route. Okay, that's great. Look at Jean-Paul Sartre. Look at, Simone de Beauvoir. Look at, every great thinker of the 20th century that's like wrestling with this stuff, you know, and you can do that in a secular way. If you're worried about this idea of faith, go back as early as Soren Kierkegaard, who's like the closest thing you can be to like a secular Christian, and see his ideas of faith. There's a lot of people who have really thought this stuff through, and maybe your pathway of thinking it through maybe has been explored. Maybe there's some answers that you just haven't found yet. So this anxiety that I'm hearing of, just like, what if I never figure this out? Dude, you don't know everything, man. There's a lot of stuff out there, and we're just two goofy dudes with microphones. I don't know what we know, but
Dan, it's a funny thing, and I have I don't know, a different opinion than a lot of professional atheists on philosophy. The philosophical arguments that we're having today, and they always would say the arguments for the existence of God, and these arguments, they haven't changed in 300 or 400 or 500 years. I do agree with that part.
Yeah.
But when I look at physics, astronomy, chemistry, biology, genetics, medicine, that has changed. That's where the value is. I don't place a whole lot of value on philosophy. I don't want to have an argument with somebody that has happened 1 million times over the last 500 years and still not produced any value.
Yeah.
Why do that? Let's do something productive. Let's find a way to feed more people. Let's find a way to get more people in nice shoes. Let's find a way to have safe drinking water around the world. Let's find a way to get
more people to buy cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Phil Coin, by the way. No.
No, I agree with that, Phil. There is so much to life that can be done completely void of sort of religious thought, right? I mean, it's been said before and it'll be said again, but we have other callers we need to talk to, Phil. So we should talk to some more folks. Before we do, though, I need to tell you guys about a new, fun, exciting way to support the ACA. And to do that, we have a short video we're going to play and tell you about it. So the video is going to play right now.
Have you ever wanted to make a permanent impact on the Atheist Community of Austin? Help support our space for free thought by buying a custom engraved brick to be laid on the building grounds to help raise funds for improvements. Our building has stood as a beacon for years, bringing people together. But 3 years of emptiness due to the pandemic have taken a toll, leaving it in disrepair. Help us restore this hub of connection and support by buying a brick. Moses had his stone tablets, but we're doing our own version. Join our brick fundraiser and let your engraved messages stand the test of time, minus commandments. Visit tiny.cc/ACA bricks for more information.
Nice. Phil, you've been taking some... Have you taken Rogaine in the 60 seconds that have perspired?
I just decided to stop artificially coloring my hair. This is the natural hair.
That's brilliant. You look like you're about to tell me about going 88 miles an hour in a DeLorean or something.
Yeah, so if people don't know what we're talking about, you got to watch the show on YouTube too. It's just the podcast not enough. It doesn't capture all the nuance of the show.
That's right. There's video elements to this audio visual medium that podcast listeners will not be getting. It's exclusive. So before we keep going to the calls, I do also need to say there are other ways you can support the show. One of the ways I mentioned is the Patreon, but we are doing super chats as well. So if they are YouTube appropriate, we will read the super chats live on the air, and you can do that right now if you're watching live. So consider donating if you'd like. One other way to support the show is to become a member. You get emojis in the chat if you do that. Your name gets highlighted in the chat, and you will be immune to the slow mode in the chat. And you can do that all for as little as 99 cents per month. And that is officially a Phil Ferguson investment recommendation, right? Phil, you would officially recommend that as a good investment live on the air right now. That will hold you to your word, legally binding.
Also should do is go below and hit like. Wait, shit. Here.
Yeah. Damn. Phil's doing the plug work right now.
Yeah.
Phil's a hustler. That's what I like about Phil. He knows the game. Notice how he completely avoided my assertion that it is a Phil Ferguson officially licensed investment, copyright, trademark.
Got to get some commissions out of that or something.
We'll get you to sign the paperwork after the show.
There you go.
We'll make it happen. But thank you to everyone, of course, who supports the show and makes it happen. You guys rock. Let's go to the next caller. We have somebody who wants to talk to us about a crypto product here, Phil. So we're right up your alley. This is Keith calling in from New Jersey. Keith, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
How you guys doing?
Doing well. I'm excited to hear your thing you got for us here, Keith, because this is outside my wheelhouse, and I'm just gonna let Phil take on this one. So, Keith, tell us, what do you got for us?
So, I'm not a crypto expert in any stretch of the imagination, but back in 2020, a friend of mine, he was getting into this one cryptocurrency. And basically what it was is it does have a product behind it. It creates a hotspot. And basically it was like a device that he would buy, or you could buy, anybody could buy, and then you get like a commission based on how long you have it up in relation to the next device, because it creates like has a radius that it covers, and then if you're too close to the next one, it'll drop your commission. So he would buy the product. It was like, I would say about $400 or $500. He would give it to you for free and offer you like a 20% commission on it off of whatever he gets. And if you referred someone, and he would put that device in their house, and he would look on the map to make sure it wasn't close, to another device, and he would give them 10% and you 20% for the referral. And I bought some crypto and messed around and lost, a couple $100 of my own. Like I totally think it's a scam. But based on this one product, I'm thinking that there probably are some legitimate ones that are around. But I mean, when I first started, I was making like $60 a month he was giving me just to have this thing in my attic, like up on the roof, right?
What did the thing do? You lost me at that part.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Say again?
No, what the thing in your attic, what does it do?
So what it does is it's a wireless device, and it broadcasts a signal. So if you were to think of like your cell phone being putting it on a hotspot, right? So you're gonna cover a certain amount of a radius with your cell phone that you could actually attach a device to. So if you had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cell phones and you're putting them around, you're creating like this virtual network that could be connected to. So that's what these devices do, and they get pretty good coverage. I mean, you could go miles and miles. There was just one guy that was probably a few miles from my house, because you can go on the actual website of this company and you could see what people are making. I mean, this guy that was like a couple of miles away, he must have had a relationship with the town or something like that. He had one up in like on one of those high tension wires. He was making $1,500 a month just by keeping this thing powered up there. It was pretty insane. I don't really. I'm sorry.
I'm cool. Yeah. With the revenue stream, that part I understand. What does the device do?
Right. So, that's what I'm saying. The device gives out.
Saying it's like a Wi-Fi spot, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Right. It gives off a signal that you could attach to, like these devices. My friend that provided these devices and got into this, he's a big motorcycle rider. So apparently what it does is, like, if you have those communication devices in your helmet, you can attach to this network as you're riding. So their goal is to create this web of hotspots, if you will, for their devices.
Okay,
and
so
I mean, so I wasn't paying a
Wi-Fi hotspots, like cell phone towers that you could hook up to.
Yeah. It's like hotspots for your phone. My question is here, and maybe Phil has a better one, but like, why does it have to deal with crypto? What's the crypto tie-in here? Because it's like,
that's my question, Dan.
Like what does that have to do with crypto? Because like, is it just like you have to buy a coin to get the hotspot? Is that how it works?
No. They pay you like their company. Instead of paying you, I guess, like a stock, like they would pay you a share, right? If you were to buy stock, it's a company. I mean, I don't know how the company originated and all that stuff, but they are a crypto-based currency. So they pay you in cryptocurrency.
What cryptocurrency? Their own?
Pay you in crypto. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you the name. I'm not here to promote them or anything like that. I can tell you the name if you want, but that's what it is.
I mean,
yeah,
I don't care if you say the name as far as I'm concerned, but if they're paying you in that cryptocurrency, can you turn it into dollars?
Absolutely, of course. You could cash out, and turn it. I mean, my friend only pays me in he Venmos me the money
in dollars.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I mean, after
so
my little
why doesn't this company just pay people in
bad
dollars?
luck with crypto. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that much about like the in-depth financial aspect of crypto to tell you to even guess. But I'm just calling in to let you know that there probably are some more cryptos like this that actually have a product behind it. And this is one of them. And I could just tell you that I don't spend a dime. And this guy,
Yeah. So Keith, I love what you're saying. I have the same question with Dan, and I don't think we'll find the answer today. How in the fuck is this related to crypto in any way whatsoever? But okay, it is.
It sounds like the relation is they just pay you in crypto instead of money.
Yeah. And if that's the way they want to pay you, that's fine. Yeah. And it may be a good thing to do. It may make sense. I'd have to know more before I would put money into it. I mean, if you know somebody that wants to cough up the $500 for the device and give it to people, and then he just gives you 20 or 30 bucks a month, and you're not out anything other than a little electricity to power this thing, cool, dude. Scoop up the dough. Be happy to get it.
Right.
But I wouldn't buy one of these fucking machines until I knew way more about it, because one of my golden rules is if I don't understand something, I don't invest in it. And you're not investing in it. You're just picking up some loose change your friend is handing you. That's cool.
Right. And I have to say, back in 2020 is when, before the whole crypto crash and all that stuff, like that crypto, if you were to relate this to a stock, was like at 50 or 60, I don't know what you would call it, cryptos or whatever. Their price was at 50 or 60. Now, since the crash, it's like $1.50. Like it's funny because the guy will Venmo me. He Venmos everyone, all the people that he has a device at their house. He'll Venmo them all money. Like I know these people from going like to different cafes or whatever, so I know the people that he deals with. And now it's like $1.50 we'll get a month or something like that. Like it's stupid.
I'm guessing.
But like when it was up there, when the price was up there, it was like I said, I was getting like $60 a month, and this thing was just like sitting in my attic,
I'm completely speculating, Keith. I'm completely speculating. I think what's going on here, and I could be completely off base, you tell me if I'm wrong, is that this company gets people these hotspots so they can collect internet data from people and probably sell that. And then instead of paying people money for that information, they give it in a cryptocurrency that they made so that they don't have to pay in real money.
A market for it. And if the price falls, it doesn't hurt them.
The devices, it's not like you can hook up your laptop to their network or your cell phone to their network. It's strictly for their devices, like whatever devices they produce. I'm sorry?
Oh, wait, it's even more useless. Wait, what are their devices? What do they make?
So the devices that they have, from what I understand, because my friend is a big motorcycle guy, is they have these devices where you can communicate in your helmet, where you can communicate to other people. So as you're riding, it attaches to the network that's being created. I mean, these things are all
there's a microphone. Help me understand this, Keith. It's like a microphone up to your helmet that they talk like a radio thing.
Yeah. Did you ever see those like a guy with a motorcycle helmet would have like a little like microphone to his mouth and he'd be talking to his passenger or the person behind him, right? Because you can't talk.
Yeah.
You can't turn your head and talk to the person.
Now
so
that makes way more sense. I thought when you were using the example earlier of the motorcycle thing, you were just saying you could connect your phone to like a guy who's on a motorcycle, but you mean no, literally, this is used for motorcyclists to like talk to each other. Okay, that's more interesting actually. Okay, I guess I don't know. This is a interesting idea. But like again, I just am hold up on the idea of they can get this stuff out there and they don't have to pay anybody. They just make up their own crypto. If I was it's like I'm running the Chuck E. Cheese here, and if you want to, get my stuff, you can use the Chuck E. Cheese tokens or prize or money, but you don't have to use real money, right? It's like paying my employees in Chuck E. Cheese money instead of actually real money. It's like, look, you can get all the prizes.
Right. But you could convert it to real money. So even though it's Chuck E. Cheese money,
I don't know how much they give you
value in U.S. currency.
Yeah. I don't know what the conversion rate is.
If you want the name and you want to look into it, I'll tell you what the name is.
I don't really care either, but it's just that is like, okay. In a business, in order to be successful, they have to get a return somehow. And I don't know if that return is some sort of data that they're getting from people, or maybe it's advertising. I don't know, but I'd be curious to see the advantage that they get from getting their products out there like that. But I don't know.
Well,
Phil, what do you think?
The devices that they sell.
Yeah. I guess they do have to sell it, so there is like that
they
part.
Probably have some kind of monthly subscriptions fee, but if you have a cell phone, you don't need these things. So I don't.
But if you're a motorcycle driver, though, Phil.
Cool.
Well,
actually, they get their money. They probably get their money from the people buying these $500 units that cost them $80 to make.
I am curious about that.
Sure.
Okay, I'll give you this, Keith. I have never heard of this before. So you gave me a new paradigm there, I guess. I just don't know what to do with it, I guess. I'm like to me, I'm still holed up on you. They don't even give you money. I mean, like, yeah, you can convert it, but like, I don't know. It's still just crypto at the end of the day. It's still not money that they're giving.
Right? They give you the Chuck E. Cheese money, but then you can turn around and you could really convert that to US dollars. Like I said, I get paid for Venmo. The guy just sends me the money through Venmo.
And that is cool.
But I mean, that is cool. To be honest with you, and I don't want crypto for them.
If they're going to send you $20 or $1.50 in their token that they've made, they could have just sent you the cash. Why are they doing that? Because does it just make it cooler? Does it make it trendy? Does it make it part of the new world? But again, it appears to be a situation where the token itself is an intermediary. It's a form of exchange, but in and of itself, it's completely meaningless and worthless. So it's a different way of using cryptocurrency, but it still doesn't have any value other than just some weird accounting game that they're playing. But cool.
Well, it does. I mean, it does have value if you can actually translate it to real money. I mean, if I created something at my house and someone was like, you know what, I'll give you real money for that, then that inherently has value, and that's how I see it. I mean, like I'm saying, I get money. I get US dollars.
I'll adjust my statement. I'm so sorry I wasn't clear. You're absolutely right. It has the monetary value of whatever you can sell it for. But other than that, I mean, it doesn't have it. The coin, the token that they're giving you, it itself doesn't make any money. It doesn't do anything. That's the value I'm talking about. Not that you can not liquidate it for $1, but I would wager the odds are that if you held those for 10 years, they're going to be worth less than they are now. So it's just a medium of exchange. Sure. And if they're going to have a medium of sending money to you, why don't they just use dollars? Why don't they have your Venmo account and send it to you instead of through your friend? Why this convoluted trickery? And maybe they make money selling the equipment. Maybe they make money on buying the devices that work with their connectors. Maybe they do advertising. I don't know. And it could be that they're making money. And I'm guessing if they're handing out money or fake tokens that they're making that have a very small current value, if it's like any other business, they're making more money than you. But I just don't understand how they're making money yet. Not saying it doesn't work. I just don't know.
And I think Keith probably knows that. I think Keith recognizes that. I think Keith is just like, hey, here's the thing where you can make a little money, and it's not immediately a loss with like many things in crypto, right? Maybe
a thing that's odd like that you can make money on. Absolutely cool. Yeah. Go enjoy it. It doesn't need to be tied to crypto, and it's not making money per se because of the crypto. That's just an intermediary step that they've somehow added for some reason. Cool.
They should, what, the Christian church, if you go out and do missionary work, the more souls you convert, you should get like a Christ token.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be giving people ideas.
I'm sure there's something like that out there.
I guarantee if the Catholic Church gets a crypto, like a token in like 5 years, just know I called it right here on this show.
There was several years ago, I think Elon was throwing shade. Go ahead, Keith.
What's that, Keith?
No, sorry. There's a delay. Sorry.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you, Keith. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll hear from you. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I was at I took a tour and we went through like some I think it was St. Patrick's Cathedral or whatever, and there was like QR codes on the back of the pews in order to donate money. So they're kind of like, getting into the whole technology aspect. Yeah. You have to buy an app in order to do penance in the Catholic Church. It's I'm sure there's going to be some kind of crypto coming up if they can create that.
I'm sure you're right about that. Keith, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thanks so much for your call. Appreciate you contributing to the show. Hope you have a good one.
That may be the closest anyone's come to explaining a crypto token that might have some utility, but even then it's completely unnecessary.
And it's not a lot, right?
No.
I mean, Keith is admitting this too, right? It's basically pocket change.
It was interesting how it went from $60 a month to $20 to $1.50, but okay.
Yeah, there is that. It's like it's not something you're gonna really invest in to like make a retirement plan off of. You know what I mean? Like that's and that's fine, I guess, right?
And of course, you could have something that's basically a pyramid scheme. I'm not saying that this is because I don't know what it is, but
yeah, I don't know either.
If I'm selling you hardware for $500 and then I start giving you $60 a month, and then it falls to 40, and then it falls to 20, and then it falls for $1.50. There is the possibility that you never make enough to cover the $500 that you paid for the device in the first place. But the first few months seem so wonderful. $60 a crack. Yeah, sure. I'm going to buy 5 or 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 of those because you're scaling up. But the company that's selling it to you might. Again, I don't know this company. I don't know this organization. Yeah. They might have it set up that they continue to pay you large monies as long as you keep buying additional equipment. But they've got an algorithm that tracks that. And once you stop buying equipment, oh, I'm so sorry. The amount you make every month is going down, down, down. And they always get to a point where they've collected 20 or 40% more from you than they've ever paid you. And then the system closes up. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not sustainable. Right. I mean, there's no way a system like that is going to last.
Yeah, I've had a lot of times people will say, Phil, I made money in crypto coin. Doesn't that make it a good investment? And I'll say, no, it doesn't. And they're like, how does it not make it a good investment? I said, if you go to the horse track and you bet on a horse that's 10-1 to win, you bet $10 and you win $100. Did that make what you did an investment?
Yeah. At that point,
no. You put money in, you pulled more money out, and in that situation, it's gambling.
Yeah.
So having more money at the end than what you had at the beginning might be nice for you. You have more money. It doesn't mean you're investing. It simply means you have more money. But what happens with things that have very high price volatility, it is always the case. When the price is the highest, so is demand. It's a basic economics 101, supply versus demand. When the supply is limited and the demand goes up, the price goes up. So when are most average people buying into any particular cryptocurrency? When a price is high. When are most people selling cryptocurrency? When the price is low. And so for the vast majority of people, you are going to buy at the wrong time and you are going to sell at the wrong time. And there's someone else in the darkness manipulating the fucking strings and pulling money out of tens of thousands, if not millions of suckers around the world. And they're getting rich and you're dreaming that you're going to be the person getting rich. Odds are you will not.
And their name is Phil Ferguson. So watch out. Watch out, everybody. Crypto bad. That's in a nutshell.
Crypto, unless someone's got something really good.
No. I don't see any more crypto calls in the queue. But again, Phil, I love
religion if you want.
Well, it's good stuff, Phil. I like the rants because clearly this is a topic you've been talking about for a while. So I'm just digging up old wounds for you, right? All the hate mail you get is probably could fill up entire landfills.
Well, it's funny. When I first started talking about crypto, I would get emails that were basically something like this: everything you said was wrong.
Yeah, and just that.
Okay, well, shit. I talked about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular for 2 fucking hours, and your email is everything you said was wrong. And I would respond back in the nicest and most humble way I could muster, which is a real challenge for me. I get it. I can't fix everything. And I spoke for 2 fucking hours. There's no way that I had everything correct in 2 hours of talking. And there's no way in my mind that I had everything wrong in 2 hours. So let's make it really simple for me, because I'm a simpleton. Pick one thing that I said that was wrong, and I will go research it, and I'll come back on my podcast and admit that I was wrong. And I've done this before because I make mistakes pretty regularly, honestly. I make mistakes, but I like to correct them. And then they just go away. They don't ever send any more emails. And I was like, well, that doesn't help anybody. If I had something that was wrong, tell me. I'll fix it.
That's right. That's right. Phil, real quick, before we get to our next callers, we have a few more announcements we got to get through, because we are getting close to the end of the show. So there's stuff I gotta let you guys know about. But don't be in remiss. Wait, that's not right. Sorry, concussion. So don't be sad, because we have an after show that Phil said he was going to do, and he didn't do that at gunpoint. He did say out of his own free volition that he will be on the after show, which we're going to be doing in the ACD Discord server live after the show. It's tiny.cc/ACD Discord. So go check that out. And it's just going to be me and Phil just kind of talking off air. So check that out if you're watching this live. Other things I have to talk to you about. One of them is our limited edition t-shirt. You guys already know we got one for you every month. It's November now, so it's a new shirt for you. The shirt is "That which does not kill you only makes you stronger, except Bigfoot. Bigfoot will kill you." Shout outs to executive producer Greg for coming up with that one. It's pretty good. If you don't like the orange color, we do have it in tons of other colors as well. And of course, all of our regular Truth Wanted merch is available at our store, tiny.cc/merchaca. Go check it out if you haven't already. And hey, if you didn't see what was on the screen because you're listening to it in audio only form, that must be because you went to tiny.cc/AEN podcasts for all of the latest ACA shows in audio forms. That's right, audiophiles. I'm a podcast listener. I love podcasts, and I love putting stuff on to listen to while I'm doing other stuff. So if you just want to hear that version of the show, go to that link, and you can find all of our shows in audio form. Next thing I got to say.
Did I mention that I have a podcast, The Phil Ferguson Show? Did I mention that?
Yeah, I don't know that you actually did, but we will let you get your plugs in at the end, Phil. Don't worry. You got to wait your turn here, and it'll be there. But no, Phil does have a podcast. You should also check it out, which he's graciously left his podcast to come on this show today. So thank you, Phil, for doing that for us. You should invite me on. I can talk about.
Hey, Dan.
Let's talk about stocks.
Dan, you want to come on the Phil Ferguson Show?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. We'll set that up. There's your invite. See?
All right, cool. Awesome. We'll make that happen.
You just got to invite yourself, dude. I'm good.
We'll talk about r/Wall Street bets. That's about as close as I get to investments, I think, is seeing what the top posts from there.
Yeah, not probably a good strategy, but what
real quick, again, if you happen to be in the Austin area, November 19th, 2023, please join us for the live broadcast of Talk Heathen and Atheist Experience in studio. Talk Heathen is going to be hosted by Christy Powell, Forrest Valkai, and Jamie Boone. And the Atheist Experience is going to be hosted by Forrest Valkai and Jamie the Blind Limey. Doors, of course, open at noon, and the event is free. We hope to see you guys there. You may have noticed, hey, that's not the end of the month. That's because the end of the month is Thanksgiving. So we won't be doing a show at the end of the month. So it's kind of close to the middle. So got to let you guys know about it when it happens. Okay, so let's keep the ball rolling now. I think I've said enough announcements here. I want to go to James, who has an interesting call for us from Virginia. James, you're live on Truth Wanted. Quick. What's up?
Hey, yeah, so I am a ex-Jehovah's Witness, deconverted back in 2020. And basically, thank you. I have lived my life with no life savings. And having Phil on the show, I was hoping could give some advice for some of us that have come out of a religion where they've given their everything they've ever earned to the church or cult.
So me being honest, kind of a sign.
Yeah, and so now I need to be thinking about end of life situations, and
So real simple, because a lot of times I talk about very elaborate and complicated things and ways to make money if you already have money. But it's also important from time to time I talk about if you have next to nothing, what the fuck do you do? And so I'm going to tell you, James, and this is for you and anyone else that's listening. You want to go to Vanguard.com. I am not affiliated with Vanguard. I do not get paid by Vanguard. I don't get commissions or anything from Vanguard. They are just simply the best mutual fund company you can use. Vanguard.com. You start off by opening an account. It'll be a regular account, an individual account, a brokerage account, a taxable account, whatever fucking name they call it. You set one of those up. At the beginning, you can treat it like a checking or savings account. You can link it to your bank. You can send $10 a month. You can send $50 a month. Don't get one of those fancy apps. And I could bore people with the reasons why most of them suck. The only ones that I don't know that suck is probably because I haven't looked at them. But go ahead and set up an account at Vanguard. Put money in there. If you have the means, probably the next thing you want to do is open up a Roth IRA. If you are working, if you have earned income, you can put money into a Roth IRA. The one downside with a Roth IRA, it does not reduce your current tax bill. The big upside for a Roth IRA is that if you put $5,000 and 30 years from now, it's $50,000. You can take that entire $50,000 out whenever you want, and you pay no tax on it. Does that help in any way, James?
It does a bit, yeah. And I'm also, I was calling not just for myself, but there's a fairly large ex-Jehovah's Witness community that I know a lot of us do deal with these kind of questions. And
what I can do, James,
I do have a 401k that I started. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I'd love to hear about the 401k. Let me give you real quick. And again, this is, like you said, not just for you. Anyone who's listening, I have 4 books. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. There we go. 4 books that I recommend. And I do insist that you read them in order. The first book is called The Richest Man in Babylon. The second book is A Random Walk Down Wall Street. The third book is Winning the Loser's Game. And the fourth book is Common Sense on Mutual Funds, written by John Bogle, the guy who started Vanguard. If you didn't catch him, just go back 10 seconds and listen to him again. All bookstores can get these for you. All of them are available on Kindle. All of them are available on audio. The fourth book, Common Sense on Mutual Funds, I do insist people buy that in paper format. I don't know if it's even in paperback, but you probably have to buy the hardback. And you should treat it like a textbook. Depending on your level of experience and knowledge in this category, the first couple of books might be pretty darn easy. The third book is a little harder, but not much. The fourth book, it's a challenge. And people go, well, I'll just skip the first 3 books and go to the end. It's not going to work. If you don't know, because the fourth book assumes you know the difference between an open-end and a closed-end mutual fund. Most people don't. It assumes that you know the technical differences between a mutual fund and an ETF. Go ahead, James. What's up?
I was just saying, nope, I sure don't.
Yeah. So you want to know those things so that I tell people it's like building a house. You can't put the roof on until you've built the other levels. And Common Sense on Mutual Funds has a lot of data. It has mathematical formulas and calculations, a lot of discussion of probability and statistics. You don't have to get all of it, but it really helps if you're not stuck with the other words and terms. And again, I tell people, this doesn't have to, it's not a Harry Potter book. You know, it's not like you're going to stay up one night and skip sleep for 8 hours and just rip through it. At least you shouldn't. Read a few pages and pause, because you're probably going to have to look things up and check things out. But you need those first 3 books to have the underlying education. But with that, I love that you've got a 401k. They're usually fantastic. The first rule I tell people, if you have something like a 401k or a 403b, make sure you understand how, if any, money is coming from the company, that you get every fucking penny of the free money, because no investment beats that. If they're going to give you 50% of the first 6% that you put in for a total of 3% from the company, I've run into people that put 5% in and only get 2.5%. Why not get the free money? You got to get all the free money. So make sure you understand what they're going to give you and make sure you're collecting all of that. But a 401k is an absolutely fantastic way to build wealth. And if you do like most people do, where every few years you switch jobs, when you leave that employer, you roll it into an IRA, a traditional IRA. Sometimes they'll call it a contributory IRA or a rollover IRA, but it's still an IRA. Then you can have almost an unlimited number of choices, which maybe is not helpful, but you want to look for Vanguard index funds. If you learn nothing else from any of the bullshit I've said tonight, learn about index funds and how their lower costs, lower turnover, and better returns help you beat almost all other investors doing next to nothing. What do you think, James? That too much? That enough? That help?
No, that was awesome and really, really helpful. And this is good information that I can give to others that need it as well. So I really appreciate your time and helping with it. And yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Great. Thank you, James. Thanks for calling in. I'm glad we could talk about that. Again, very different from our usual thing, but people need to know that this stuff. I mean, actually, I was going to say this, Phil. You recommended those 4 books last time on the show, and I actually read Richest Man of Babylon after we talked. I didn't get to the other books. I probably should get to the other ones. A little thing called COVID happened. I don't know if you remembered that. Life kind of got a little crazy, but I probably should go back because that was pretty good.
Well, one of the things people ask me constantly, they're like, well, what about a brand new book? What's trending? I don't give a fuck what's trending.
Richest Man of Babylon's like 100 years old. Like, it's a pretty old book.
And I have to warn people, The Richest Man in Babylon has some themes and content that sound wrong, and they probably are wrong in today's society.
Yeah.
Work through that. And if someone can find me a better book to start with, let me know. But one of the things about Richest Man in Babylon that is so powerful, there's a point where the leaders, the politicians, whatever, hire in the fictional story the richest man in Babylon to teach everybody in Babylon how to make money, because they don't want to have so much poverty. They want people to make money. And they're in this room, and there's all these men, because women don't count in ancient Babylon, or maybe even 100 years ago. And the question is, what do you need to do to save and invest money? And, he's asking the audience kind of the Socratic method thing. And someone raises their hand and said, I would be able to save more money if I just made a little bit more. And a lot of people are like, yes, that would do it. If I could just make more money, I could save money finally. And he says, look around this room at all the people that are in it. Are there people in here that make more than you? Are there people that make less than you? And everyone kind of agrees, yeah, there's different income from everybody in this room. So all these people with different incomes, they still are all broke. So that's not the solution. Now, the nice thing is the book has ideas and topics and suggestions that are going to work better, but I'm just here to tell you, while it might look easier and it might even be a little easier, making more money doesn't always fix it. I've had people call me, husband and wife are both making $120,000 a year, $240,000. I had one couple, they're living in the garage above their mom's apartment, paying her $500 a month for the room, for the heat, for the air conditioning, the internet, cell phones, everything. And they call me up and they're like, we have $60,000, $70,000 in credit card debt. What? How the fuck is that possible? I'm like, I said, normally I ask people when I'm doing this little bit of financial spending thing, how often do you eat out per week? But I knew this was going to be different. I said, how many times do you guys eat out per day? And they said 3 to 4 times every meal. We have no food in our house at all.
Ooh.
If we want to eat, we have to go out. So something you could maybe spend $4 or $5 or $10 on at the grocery store, you're spending $50, $80, $100, $120 for a nice meal. Just going to McDonald's now for 2 people can be $25 to $30, which is crazy, but it's the world we live in. You got to stop doing that. I said, the single biggest thing I'm going to teach you, it's going to make you a fortune. 2 words, grocery store. Go to one. You don't even have to start with fucking Aldi. You're eating out all the time. You can go to the nice grocery store, but eventually you go to Aldi, where you can get things for ridiculously low prices just because you have to bag it yourself. And you might only have one choice for chips or one choice for salsa. But if you want to be economical, I think, I don't know if people notice, but I've got this is my glass. This is my jar. I'm drinking my little caffeinated beverage out of. Why do I use this? Because it was fucking free. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do to do
Phil
that.
Is saying,
what's that?
Phil's saying, listen, if you're a millennial, stop eating that avocado toast. That's what Phil is saying.
I mean, if your money, spend it however you want to. But like you had mentioned earlier, if you're 27, can you save enough for retirement? One of the rules of thumb in the industry is 10%. If you save 10% per year, you're going to make it. I'm calling bullshit on that, by the way.
Okay. Actually, okay, that's interesting because I have heard that. So please tell me why that's bullshit.
Common. I call 10% the suck ass minimum. If you start when you're 20 and when you get to 62, if you've always saved 10%, okay, yeah, sure, it'll work. You didn't start when you were 20.
No.
You started when you're 26 or 27. A lot of people start when they're in their 30s. 10% is not going to cut it. The other thing, of course, is that if you're saving 10%, sometimes shit happens. And for a year or two, you don't save 10%. So most people are going to struggle really hard when they get to retirement if their goal was to save 10%. So what I tell people, and yeah, it's easy to say and it's hard to do, you need to save 20%. 20% per year. If a year comes up where you can't do it, cool, you can still make it. If you start when you're 35 and not 20, cool, you can still make it. But 10% for a lot of people, it's just not going to cut it. And a lot of people will contact me in their mid and late 50s or even early 60s. And they say, I've been saving 10% for 30 years and I still don't have enough to retire. Well, we shouldn't be telling people 10% is going to work. It might for you if you get lucky. But for most people, 20% is a better number. And you know what? If you save 20% per year and then you find when you retire, you have too much money, boo fucking who, right? God, that's got to suck for you. But then you can give it away and you can help people. So, it just doesn't mean it sits there as a pile of gold like you're a fucking dragon. Help some people out.
McDuck. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Phil, I have a great question I want to ask you, but I'm going to save it for the after show, which you guys should go check out because we are running late on this show right now. So we got
a link, please. So
we're going to send you the link. We're going to get to it once this show closes. We're going to talk and we'll go over there. But we do need to end tonight's broadcast. I have like 1 or 2 more tiny announcements I need to make. First off, one, if you want to contact the show, if you like what you're hearing, you can do that by emailing truth@atheist-community.org. Or if you want to email the shows at large, there's tv@atheist-community.org. And if you've ever said to yourself, hey, I really love the content that the ACA creates, but I wish there was a way I could get it all the time. Well, guess what? We have a 24/7 live stream happening for the Atheist Experience. And we have one for Talk Heathen, tiny.cc/AXPTV and tiny.cc/Heathen TV that all the time are just playing clips. So there's usually people there in the chat as well. If you want to hang out, talk to some like-minded folks, go check that out because that is a fun thing to do. And I need to thank Phil, of course, for being on tonight's show. Phil, loved having you tonight. Would love to have you again. Looking forward to being on your show now that it's recorded and on the air that you give me an invite. So I also saw some
people gave money. Are you supposed to announce those people?
Yeah, thank you so much for doing my job for me and pointing out in the chat that we have some super chats that I'm going to get to it to the end here. Now, man, this Phil guy, he knows that he knows a thing or two about money, I guess.
It's an obsession, which usually helps, but sometimes it is a genuine problem, but it's just how my mind works.
Yeah, I like that. Torsten P. I think is how you say this, Phil Pill, maybe Torsten Pill, who gave $1.99. He said, "Hi, fellow Hyundai EV owner, Phil. So great job on you guys. I had a Hyundai. It crashed. Well, not crashed. It was hit, and maybe I'll get another one. We'll see." But
you're still bitching about that, dude. It's been a whole week.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But yeah, anyway, should probably get over it. But another one comes from Alan Ferguson, who gave $10, who said, "Couldn't find a Chuck E. Cheese command. So here's real money for Phil. No relation." And Dan, glad you're back, Dan. Thank you guys so much. And man, yeah, I guess I really am concussed because I was not paying attention to the thing here to read my super chats. But once again, I need to thank you, Phil. Thanks again so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And if people want to find out more about you, where should they go?
The Phil Ferguson show. I think I still have a thing on X, but I don't check that. You can email me, phil@polarisfinancialplanning.com. And for James and other listeners, if you want to know more, I do on the show talk about how to get started, how to get going. And what you're going to want to Google is the Polaris Plan. And I lay out over a period of 6 different episodes. I think the last time I did this was a year and a half ago. Step by step, how to do it. Every fund that I use, the allocations that I recommend. And I see myself as a consumer advocate first. And I know from experience in the 27 years that I've been doing this kind of thing, a small percentage of people will contact me and say, "I want to hire you." And I'll say, "Well, then it's going to cost you X." And if they say, "Well, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to think about this. I just want to give you money." Well, I'm here, baby. I'll take the money. I'll manage your accounts. Hopefully they go up, but no guarantees, no promises. Past performance is no prediction of future performance or events or something like that. But it's a rough thing. There's a lot of rules, and sometimes I can help people allocate money better when they're adding or taking money out. And I don't want to get too much into it, but the Phil Ferguson show is the best thing. Go check it out. Give me 5 stars, just like you should this show. Go leave positive reviews, thumbs up on YouTube, all that shit. Do it.
Absolutely.
People need to see the show.
Absolutely. Thanks again for plugging that and saying that you should subscribe to this show and give us likes, because yes, you should do that. I want to thank also the wonderful, fantastic, amazing, stupendous crew that help make this show happen every single week, and who are always working hard behind the scenes. Look at that crew. Beautiful folks.
I need a crew, man.
You need a crew.
Paying these people.
Let me tell you, almost everybody that does stuff for the ACA completely volunteers, including myself, which is just pretty wild. So thank you guys so much for helping out with this show and all the other shows that you do. I also want to thank our backup host tonight, Kelly, who is actually, he left early. He left early because he's already in the Discord waiting for us, because we have an after show that we have got to get to. But before we do that, I got to remind you the prompt this week: what's really inside the Egyptian pyramids? Comment on the video below, and your answer may be read on next week's episode. Folks, that is going to be all for tonight. I am Objectively Dan, and remember to always keep wanting the truth. I'll see you next time.
Watch the non-profits and join the hosts in the live chat. Visit tiny.cc/YTNP.